Hi, I'm Justine Smith with CUTV, and we're doing Beyond the Film Festival, covering Fantasia International Film Festival. Today we have two wonderful guests who are going to be talking about their new film, and I was hoping you guys could introduce yourselves and maybe explain your role in A Christmas Horror Story.
All right, so I'm Steve Hoban, and I'm one of the producers and one of the directors.
And I am Mark Smith. I am also one of the producers.
This is not really a normal anthology film. What motivated you guys to kind of adopt this particular structure in approaching these kind of different stories?
Well, I mean, we both love anthology films, but one of the problems with anthology movies is they have different shorts that are all one after the other. So what happens is you have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you start all over again, a beginning, middle, and end, and you start all over again. So to me, it feels like you're at a film festival watching short after short after short, and eventually fatigue kind of sets in. So we wanted to follow more of a Pulp Fiction kind of structure, so it would be a single movie. So it would feel like, okay, this is the beginning of the whole movie, this is the middle of the whole movie, and this is the climax of the whole movie. And so it just seems like a more satisfying movie-going experience.
Okay. And I'm just going to go right to the William Shatner question because I'm sure everyone's asked you. So how did William Shatner get involved, and how was it working with him?
Okay, well, he came after us. He desperately wanted. No, I'm kidding. So we had a mutual friend, a guy named Bob Monroe, who used to be a partner with William Shatner in a visual effects company. And Bob is this visual effects wizard who's worked on many of our films. He didn't work on A Christmas Horror Story, but he was a friend of the movie. So we'd shot all the rest of the film in Toronto in the coldest winter they'd had in like 50 or 60 years. We'd finished that part of it, and then when it got to the Dangerous Dan DJ section, we started looking around, who do we want to be that character? And it could have been, a young person, or it could be anything. But there's just something about William Shatner. He has got such incredible presence, and he's charming, and he's funny, and he's got this incredible voice. So he just seemed like, I don't think there is a better choice for a radio DJ than William Shatner. So we talked to our friend Bob and said, do you think there's a way we could get to Bill? And he said, yeah, I'll send him an email right now. I just had dinner with him yesterday. That's literally what happened when I called him. And so we sent a synopsis, and we cut together a trailer from the stuff we'd already shot. So William Shatner looked at that and was interested, so we sent him the script, and he loved the script. And that was it.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, he has the perfect voice.
Yes.
He started as a Shakespearean actor, so
That's right,
of course
yes.
he has that kind of presence to begin with. Like, everyone loves him.
And he can rock a Christmas sweater like nobody else.
Yeah. He and working with him was we had him for one day. We shot the movie in Toronto, but that portion we shot in LA, and he just came to us. We hadn't met him in advance. And he was fantastic. He was incredibly professional, and seemed to be having a great time the whole time. He was great with everybody. And frankly, for that part of the shoot, we had kind of a little bit of an amateur crew because it wasn't our usual Toronto crew. So it was interesting because he easily could have said, "Oh, what's going on?" But he was just supportive of everything, really helpful, and took that role to another level.
That's awesome. Obviously, you guys have worked on a lot of Canadian cinema. Honestly, some of my favorite films. Canadian cinema seems really interlocked with winter and Christmas for very obvious reasons. How do you feel like you're continuing that legacy of Canadian horror, and how do you think you're departing from it?
Wow. I mean, Canadian horror, it's interesting. I personally, and I know Steve feels the same way, love the idea of marrying winter with horror. Blood on Snow, come on, it's lovely. And so the fact that we live in this climate in Canada, that it seems like a natural fit. How are we progressing? That's a great question. Even though we're Canadians and proudly Canadians, and we always make a point of not hiding the fact that film is a Canadian film, I don't really perceive it that way when we're doing it. We're just making a movie, and it's the story we're telling, and it happens to be about these Canadians, and it happens to be set there, and we just tell it.
Yeah, I think, for our movies, we normally finance them outside of Canada. So we start with foreign financing and then come back in. But to me, A Christmas Horror Story is the quintessential Canadian movie, and it's a quintessential Canadian horror movie. So it's so in a way it's kind of a throwback because we've been saying it's the inspiration in a way is Creepshow. It's a Christmas Creepshow, but it's so Canadian.
Yeah.
And yet, I think that specificity of Christmas and taking place in Bailey Downs, I think that's what's going to make it appeal to people outside of Canada as well.
I actually love that it's set in Bailey Downs because for me, Ginger Snaps is my favorite film. So obviously you guys worked on it, or is there a specific reason why you decided to continue with that very specific time and place in Canadian, the Canadian geography that's kind of obscure?
Well, it's just because we're egomaniacs, so we thought we'd be self-referential. No, we were choosing between Bailey Downs or Bedford Falls. So Bedford Falls or Bailey Downs. So we were really torn on which it should be because Bedford Falls, of course, is great for a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Bailey Downs, of course, is great for a horror movie that we make. So at the end of the day, we just decided let's just be self-referential. That's why there's a mug that William Shatner has. It's got this Cuddle Cat character on it from our Darknet TV series.
That's awesome.
Has to do with this Cuddle Cat killer, and also just Bailey Downs. It's kind of the idea of trying to keep it alive. Like John Fawcett put Bailey Downs in Orphan Black as well. So,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so it's the suburb where the suburban mom version of Tatiana's character lives. So it just seemed like fun, and that's the whole point of the movie is just fun. Yes, it's scary and it's hopefully cool and it's gory and all, but it's fun and it's just a fun idea. It's just to draw those threads.
I think kind of the idea of It's a Wonderful Life kind of brings up the idea that the kind of classic Christmas movies that we have are actually really dark. It's like we think of Christmas as this really wonderful, happy time of year, but It's a Wonderful Life, like the whole impetus of the film is a guy trying to kill himself.
Yes.
The Scrooge is not a very uplifting story. It is in the end.
But it's a ghost story.
It's super dark. And we have this, it's kind of funny that we think of Christmas as not appropriate for horror when it is.
Well, it's like William Shatner's character, Dangerous Dan, says in the movie. It's a season of dark and light and magical forces. That's what Christmas is, and then that's what ghost stories are, and that's what demon stories are, and of course, like the Krampus character is that's Christmas.
Yeah, I was actually I wanted you guys to kind of elaborate on Krampus because I feel like it's kind of the monster of the season, but at the same time, not many people are kind of aware of it. So for people who don't know who Krampus is, do you want to give your own personal take?
It is so weird that suddenly Krampus is about to burst on the scene in several different movies.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre because it's Northern European mythology, and it's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. And Krampus is the anti-Santa Claus. He is the one that comes to visit the naughty girls and boys. And there's variations on the myth, but he is a demon. And in some of the myth, he drags bad children to hell. In others, he whips them with a switch. It's
so Christmassy.
Yeah, very Christmassy. Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, our makeup artist on the film was a little bit afraid to do the movie because she's French, and in France, when she was in school, when she was, I think she said 7 or 8 years old, there would be two guys that would come around, one dressed as Santa Claus, the other one dressed as Krampus. So she still has these childhood nightmares about Krampus, and there's Krampus festivals all over Europe.
Yeah, you guys are kind of mixing a lot of different mythologies too, because you also have the changeling, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of the Irish, and so I guess because Canada is a multicultural country, you could kind of get away with picking and choosing the scariest and the kind of underrated mythologies from around the world, right?
Well, that's it. The idea was to hit as many subgenres of horror as we could and have them be different. So we have the changeling story or the creepy kid story. We have the ghost story. We have the demon story, and of course we have the zombie elves. No, wait a minute, that's not a subgenre yet. That will be a subgenre. Zombie elves, yeah.
You guys are pioneers. I mean,
yes.
Even
and
Splice is a pioneer, right? That's what I love about it. So.
Well, and that's how we're moving forward. The whole genre of horror, it's zombie elves.
Zombie elves. I think it's going to be big.
Yes.
We always ask one question to everyone who we interview, and it's, do you have a specific message, whether one piece of advice or a grand piece of advice to people who are aspiring filmmakers, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, and maybe particularly in Canada, that you would like to give?
Yeah, I mean, I think just take advantage of the distribution vehicles that exist now. You could make a film for very little money, and you can get it seen by the world for free. Back in the day, you'd make this film, and you'd be like, God, but no one's seen it. It's not getting in these festivals, whatever it is. So just make a movie, a good movie, and get it seen, and that will propel you to make another film.
Well, that's it. Mark said a good movie, and that's the trick. It's too many filmmakers try too hard to be either always the director or always the actor or always the writer. Figure out what you're good at, and that's what you do. So, if you're a really good production designer and a so-so director, don't direct. There's lots of great jobs in the industry. There's lots of great functions, and it's always about trying to do something that connects with an audience. And if you're a mediocre writer, don't write. Do something else that helps to get a film made. It's a collaborative art, and that's what's so great about it.
Yeah.
That's why we do it, because it's collaborative. It's there is no one person that can make a movie that engages an audience. You need a group of people.
That's a fantastic answer, and one that I think a lot of people are good. I think that's great, because that's what I like about film. It's not this kind of secluding yourself in a dark room. It's working with other people. It's a social experience as much as it is a creative one.
Exactly. And what could be more fun than being on set with a whole bunch of little people dressed up as zombie elves and cutting their heads off? Really.
There you go.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Absolutely wonderful. I hope that everyone gets to see your movie.
Thank you. Please tell them.
I will.
Yes.
I'll tell everyone I meet today. I'll shake their hand and go, "Have you seen A Christmas Horror Story yet?"
Excellent.
Go out and check it out.
That's right. And then when Christmas comes around, you can buy the DVDs as gifts.
Yes.
There we go.
There you go.
The perfect Christmas gift.
It is the perfect Christmas
Yes.
gift.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.